3 months ago, we sent them another letter. Deaf ears. 2 weeks ago, we sat down with them in the land use summit and sent them another letter. Deaf ears. We asked for a moratorium. We figured they'd come out and say, hey, let's talk now. Everyone knew about it. No, they didn't make a call. I even texted the mayor the other day and I said, after we announced the lawsuit finally, because the lawsuit is basically to get them to talk, to get them to the table. We don't really want to sue the city, but we will if we have to, because we know that the citizens do not have the capacity to. Who's going to put up that type of money? But here's what happens, okay? So when we believe out of 3,100 units will be closer to 1,500 kids, okay, come to the district, are they funded by the building? Is the building paying the taxes for them? And this is the key. The answer is no. All the buildings being built and proposed are under tax pilots, payments in lieu of taxes. They make a payment instead of the taxes that they're supposed to pay, how they were regularly assessed. Most of them, believe it or not, that payment, by the way, can be as low as 0. And half of them are exactly that, 0. And the others go as high as, for an entire building, $30,000 a year for 40 years. I pay $16,000 in school taxes in my house, and I know my neighbor pays about 20 because she's on half an acre. Right there, that's $35,000. We don't even have any kids in the school district. So we pay more taxes than an entire building, 20 East 3rd Street, that has 63 kids in the school district and pays $30,000. That opened 5 years ago. So now put hundreds of buildings more like that in Mount Vernon. So back to your question, why are they so interested in Mount Vernon? It's very simple. Number one, Mount Vernon's giving these pilots and giving these tax breaks. No other community is giving them. There was a case in Ardsley where a building was going up, a proposed developer from Texas came in to build a unit, a multi-family unit, a residential unit that was going to add 24 children to the school district. They chased them out of town. 24 kids. Chased them back to Texas. The town supervisor, the town board, the citizens, hell no. Meanwhile, we're about to dump 4,000 to 6,000 kids in the district because when you had a mayor who was pro these developers, with a city council who basically was a rubber stamp for the mayor, these projects were beginning to just flow. So, whether you like Richie right now or you don't, the fact that him and city council are not getting along, everything's come to pretty much a halt. So right now, the city council, what they're doing is they're making the environment perfect by rezoning. They're allowing for the environment to be ready for when there is a mayor that goes along with it. So everything's already in place, form-based zoning. So they're getting everything in place. So the developer said the other day, this moratorium that the school asked for, is this going to affect me? He said, hell no, as I told you. Now, how can you say that? You don't know that for a fact. Are you going to try to make it a fact? Well, let's see. Because they're going to have to hire their own attorney, because the mayor is not going to lend them the corporation counsel to defend them. It's a mess. It's a mess. And all we want to do is to sit down and to say, hey, we're not against development. We are just for responsible development. If they build it, they need to pay for it. Because if they don't pay for it, guess who pays for it?
We do.
Of course you do. The money's got to come from somewhere. It's simple math. It's simple math.
I have a question. When was the last, I guess I have two questions. The first one is, did we invite any council or mayor? Did we invite any of them here? Because I know we're speaking, but.
Yes, and I will talk to you, I'll tell you that in a second.
Okay.
And so I'll take questions in a second, because what happens is that just as I was saying the other day, how when Richie speaks and everyone hears what he has to say, well, that's his opinion and everyone listens and walks away. Well, one thing that I like to do is I like to share all the opinions, right? And I don't like to present a bias. And I try not to. Honestly, I do. But let me finish and then we can take some questions. So now what happens is that you have all these children that are not being paid for And so if they don't get paid for by the developer, by the way, this is a seat right here, come please. By the way, most of these developers live in outside of Mount Vernon, Harrison, Scarsdale, wherever. They build here in Mount Vernon. So why Mount Vernon? I still haven't gotten to that. Well, not only are they getting great pilots, tax breaks, but Mount Vernon is the only community right now accepting all of these affordable housing units. And why do they want to build affordable housing? Affordable housing, I'm not against affordable housing, by the way. You have affordable housing that pays for the kids that are going to come from that housing project, no problem. Build it if you want. But they won't. Because the scheme is, if you get all the subsidies and all the grants, and you get the tax breaks, in 40 years, the building pays for itself, especially with all the government guaranteed payments that go along with the affordable housing projects. In 40 years, you have a free building. It's a great business plan. And it's not illegal, by the way. It's perfectly legal. If you want it. Now, White Plains, regentrified, what do they do with a lot of the affordable housing units? And they push them to Mount Vernon. New Rochelle did the same thing, Avalon, blah, 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 blah. Where do they go? Here. Youth shelters, homeless shelters, drug clinics. Most of them come here to Mount Vernon because our politicians accept them here. The Westchester Planning Board applauded Mount Vernon last week in the Journal News, congratulated them for being so progressive in building all of this affordable housing units. We're the dump site. That's exactly it. We are the dump site for the county. Everyone knows that. Astorino knows that. We all know that. And we continue to be the dump site for the county. Now, I told you I'd give you a very unbiased opinion. And if, Marcus continues to say, hey, you just don't understand government. He's great at this, by the way. He always says things, but he never wants to sit down to explain. I love to learn. I'm sure a lot of you guys here do too. I love to learn. If I don't know about government, please sit down and teach me about government. I'm willing to learn, but you haven't even made that move. You just it's a talking point. You just don't know, you just don't know, you just don't know. Well, teach me. I'd love to know, because what I do know is that there is going to be a transfer of burden of taxes from the developers over to the homeowners. Now, who here in this room, raise your hands if you'd like to pay more taxes. Raise your hands. Eventually it's going to happen. If you look at the past 16 years, how do I know? Well, Angie opened the Google the other day and she showed me. She Googled it and everything, took a look, and she was like, look at these charts. In 16 years, Mount Vernon taxes, school taxes, portion, have gone up over 300%. So 16 years ago, if you used to pay $5,000 as part of your school taxes in the house, you now pay $15,000. Now, have schools improved by 300%? Has the city gone up by 300% in terms of quality of life, blah, blah, blah? No. So what is it? And so we kind of sat down to do the study. Well, in the past 16 years, the amount of new development that's come in that has not been paid for, and we have if you go online and take a look at the Paris docs, they give you all the pilot programs and the IDAs from the IDA, the Industrial Development Agency, that's allowed to give tax breaks for commercial and multifamily residential, which is considered commercial properties. You'll see that all these developments, how many kids they put in the school district and that are not paid for, and and here's the math, okay? An average kid costs $29,000 in Mount Vernon to educate. The state pays about $11,000 of that through subsidies. State aid, you've heard of the state aid. So it costs real tax dollars an average of $18,000 a student. That's a general education student. That's not a student with special needs. Okay? Student with disabilities, paid more. We have a case right now, Adrian's on the board, she could tell you, this student is going to need residency, which means that, her parents basically said, we can't take care of her anymore. You gotta take her. By law, we do. How much is that? About 150 grand. Most special education children cost an average of about $100,000 to the district. That's before state aid. After state aid, government aid, blah, 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 it dwindles down, but it's still up there close to probably 30,000. So the bottom line is that, remember we talked about we have the majority of, we were just at a shelter the other day, West Ham. There's West Help. There's this and that. And by the way, most of the people in West Ham are not from Mount Vernon. They're from Yonkers, they're from the Bronx, they're from where? They're not all from Mount Vernon. So this is the thing as well. Again, but when they're in our district, you have to take care of them. Bottom line. So what we're saying is that we're not against affordable housing, but we want it to be distributed fairly throughout all the municipalities in Westchester County. And not use Mount Vernon as a dumping ground because we pay for it. And it costs our community a great deal. And that's the bottom line.